Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Coach.
Yep, it is.
Jorge Rubino, Devil's Digest, more or less the midpoint of spring practice. The progress that you expect to see from defensive backs unit, especially you being here your first year, some new faces over there. Are you pleased with the progress? Is it where you think it should be at this point of spring practice?
Absolutely. I've been pleased with the progress. There's always transition and there's a natural step in growth that has to occur, you know, as both sides are getting a chance to know each other, things of that sort. Seeing those guys, they have bought in, take the steps forward that we're taking, it's been great, man. So I'm definitely pleased with the steps that we're taking because we're definitely trending up in the right direction.
Robbie Baker with Fox 10 Phoenix. Having a guy like Jordan Clark who's had some years in this defense, how's that kind of helped you with your transition here and so many new faces in that secondary room?
Yeah, Jordan is a phenomenal leader. He's a guy that definitely communicates, gets the attention of the other guys, which are his peers, which is great. I think one of the things that we don't state enough as coaches at times, and I'm talking about throughout the profession, is how important peer pressure is. That type of peer pressure. So having a guy like Jordan Clark be able to convey the messages and also be able to communicate on the field has been definitely, it's been really good for us as a unit. So definitely thankful for him.
Jordan mentioned how all the different quarterbacks getting reps has kind of helped the secondary a little bit, seeing a bunch of different looks throughout spring so far. If you can kind of speak to that.
That's one of the good things about that is you never know the type of guy that you'll line up against on a game day. All right, so this guy's skill set, his mannerisms at quarterback may be a lot like a guy that you'll see later on down the road. So you always want to make sure, and that's one of the things that we talk about in the room, being able to pick those things apart from our guys in practice, and then seeing how that relates to guys that we'll wind up seeing on game day. So absolutely right.
You good, Robbie?
Hey there, Chris Carpenter, Son of a Source. What's your sense of this scheme, and then working with Donnie Henderson on installing it and kind of the relationship that you guys are having as a foundation for the future?
I love what it is that we're doing. There's a lot of familiarity with what we're doing schematically. And then the second part to your question, working with Donnie, man, that's God definitely answered my prayers. You know, Donnie's a phenomenal teacher. There's a plethora of experience that he brings to the table. And for a young guy like myself, just being able to sit there, I tell him all the time, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna bug you. You know, I'll sit here with him late and ask questions and go, but he's an open book. His ability to make himself available has been a tremendous blessing and an asset to me. So I'm very grateful for Coach Henderson. And again, the scheme that we're running, I really like it.
Yes. What specifically do you like about the scheme as far as how it fits your personality style and the players you have?
I think for me, the big part, there's a lot of carryover from what I've done in the past. Not getting into a lot of schematics, but there's just a lot of carryover, and it plays to our guys' skill sets as well. And Donnie, you look at him and who he is from a personality standpoint, what he does, it definitely plays to his personality. So just being able to use multiple guys in different ways, and always talking about versatility. I mean, you guys have been out there, so you got a chance to see it. You got a chance to see guys doing different things. That's key. So we both think a lot alike in that regard. So that's why I said for me it's a blessing, and then just getting a chance to know him and talk to him and start to see what it is that he's like, talk about his past and where he is now. I think it all lines up, man. So for me, like I said, I think it's a blessing, man. Definitely God has my progress. Yeah.
Good. Lindsay?
Hi, Coach. Lindsay Zenti, Arizona PBS. I just want to know what you think Chris Edmonds brings to the table for the secondary this season.
Chris Edmonds has been a phenomenal addition to our defensive backfield unit and our team as a whole. Chris has definitely a really good skill set. He's a longer guy and he can run. You know, that's one of the things when you look at him. You typically see guys. There's the stereotypical thing about big DBs about them not being able to bend, or they're not twitchy enough, or they can't change direction. It's not not the case with Chris Edmondson. So Chris is a guy that definitely can move. He offers a lot of versatility and has some exceptional range.
So from what you've seen so far in spring practice, does he have the potential to start week 1?
And I'm careful with that word start. He's definitely going to be a guy that we're counting on. Just so I tell those guys in the room, we don't have starters. We like to play matchups. Chris is definitely going to be a guy that helps us in our quest as we seek to go back to South. He's definitely going to be one of those guys we're counting on.
Thank you.
So, Coach, when it comes to Chris and even Corey Bentley, for that matter, just because they didn't have a whole lot of pre-spring workouts and prep, so to speak, do you think that maybe slow down their process the first week or two, and now they're really hitting their stride and being that player, being those two players you saw on film, which why you wanted them over here?
Yeah, Corey is a lot like Chris. Corey's a guy. All they had to do was get acclimated to what it is that we're doing, but they both have very, very high football IQs. And Corey's a physical guy. he's smart. He's physical. He's also a guy that communicates well. So just like we talked about Jordan Clark on the one hand being able to communicate, Corey does it also. Corey brings a lot of experience and leadership to our group and our defense as a whole. So he's a guy that I'm definitely excited about. Very stoic, so you don't see him getting rattled. You know what I mean? He doesn't make decisions based on his emotion. Corey's a guy that he can articulate what's going on the field, communicate it off the field, not just to the coaches but to his peers. So again, there goes that positive peer pressure that we talked about again too. So he's gained the respect of the guys as he stepped into the room as well. So he's another phenomenal addition to our team.
And I was also going to ask you about Isaiah Johnson. I mean, I know like all the other DBs, he's new to you, but as you know, he came in his recruiting class, the highest rated guy of the group, very highly coveted too. Took him, that freshman learning curve, I guess, to really get into a groove. But what do you think you've seen from him? I mean, I don't know if you watched maybe some of his practices last year. And where do you see the development for a guy like Isaiah from year 1 to year 2?
Isaiah's definitely gotten practice from day 1 to day 9 now. I lose track of days sometimes. So Isaiah's definitely gotten better. He's a guy that's definitely trending in the right direction. I'm most proud about Isaiah because of the strides that he's starting to make off the field. You're starting to see, his what you see with a lot of freshmen, in regards they have to get acclimated to what's going on. Similar to what you just said, Isaiah is starting to do that now. He's doing it, it's showing up on the field, and his confidence. So you're allowing him to play to his personality. He's a joy. He's a joy to listen to. He's a joy to watch. He definitely keeps us laughing in the DB room. So he's another blessing to our program as well. So I'm excited about Isaiah.
Anyone else?
Coach, Matt Venezia of Cronkite Sports. Coach, I was just wondering, with guys like Chase Lucas and Jack Jones no longer being in your secondary, some new faces obviously kind of get in the mix there. Is there a certain maybe culture or a buy-in process that you're trying to get some of these younger guys to be able to, I guess, make it easier for them to get involved and be able to, I guess, get their names out there with some of those first team reps?
And everybody goes with the first team for me, so that's, but a certain type of buy-in, no, we just always talk about commitment. We always talk about commitment, we talk about versatility, we talk about there not being any drop-off, because I've been in this game long enough to know now that you can't go win it with just 4 or 5 guys, so you got to make sure that you develop what you have. So there's something I said a while back in an interview. We get so caught up in the recruiting process that we forget about the development part. And you want to make sure that you spend time. And maybe that's just my high school coach background, but I want to make sure that I spend time developing those guys, mentally, physically, emotionally, because it's going to take all of that on the field. You never know what hostile type environment that you walk into. You want to make sure those guys are stoic and balanced. You don't want your highs to get too high. You don't want your lows to get too low. You want to make sure those guys are ready to rock and roll. And I don't want just 4 or 5 guys like that. I want 10, 15, 20. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure. So that's the culture that we're creating in the defensive back.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thanks, Coach.